That's live. Don't know where else that's going to go. Twitch is on. Cool. YouTube's up. Hey, welcome in. I don't think non-subs chat will show on stream, so I probably won't notice your chat. I've only happened to spot it because I'm just testing everything's live. So if you wonder if I don't reply, if it doesn't show up on stream, I won't see your message, basically. Right, Twitch is good, YouTube's good. TikTok's on Facebook now. Go live. That's it. Right, we should be good on all platforms, I think, now. So I can close that window, keep that one open, close that one. Right then. Hey, welcome. Let me just post on Discord that we're live. 1 second. Then, quick info for me, just swap to ASIC to a SVF. No picture on clean screen V4, no sound at all. On a 2 ASIC, will that be? 3 chips, yeah. Ignore the clean screen altogether until you get audio. I wouldn't even bother thinking about the screen. The V4, though, should say no GG. If it's working right, you'll get, even without the Game Gear running, you get something on screen. So if you're not even getting it saying no GG and it's a black screen, that's a sign the Game Gear is running and it's just not loading game. So check the Z80. But also open the on-screen menu on the clean screen to make sure it's actually opened up the screen, and then you know everything's working. So if the Game Gear is running and failing to load a game, you'll get the on-screen menu show up and you won't get it saying no GG. That's how you know it's the Game Gear fully booted, just failing to load game. I haven't seen new vids on TikTok in ages. Yeah, I pretty much do lives now. I don't really get much time for the pre-recorded ones. I keep thinking I'll try, but I'm always too busy with everything at the minute. So, and then the lives just do not get pushed on TikTok at all. So that's why you don't really see me much now on there. Right, so these are 2 Commodore +4s. I'm not sure why I accepted them once I started looking at it, because I'm woefully unprepared for this. I've got no power supply, so we're going to have to jerry-rig that. I thought I did. I've got 1 non-working unit of my own, so we haven't really got much to go by. So we're going to figure this one out as we go, basically. Let me just check if this is a sending I offer, or did I just accept it as a one-off? No, I did it as a one-off, of course. So what we've got is, luckily, it says these both fully work or seem to, except the keyboards, so they can't test much else. That's the overall gist of it. This machine is their original, so the one they've had. This is their actual machine. So we'll probably come to this one second, maybe, while we're getting the donor up and running. The idea is to get both up and running, but I've not worked on these much at all. So yeah, basic idea is Commodore +4's keyboard's not working. So first issue is I totally forgot the power supplies on these are specific to the +4s, and I don't have one lying around. So not a major issue, but an issue nonetheless. We've got to now open this up and get it powered up first. Watching from TikTok, nice. See if I keep pushing through TikTok, but it keeps stopping. So hopefully, keep doing it enough, and we might actually get a bit more interaction going into TikTok. Just we'll see what happens. So the getting into these should be pretty self-explanatory. Just like most old consoles, just take all the screws out you can see, and then things generally open up. So we've got 3 at the back, 2 at the front, and then the top, I presume, will unclip, or from the back by the looks of it. There we go. So the back will fold open, and in here we have ribbon. So this is probably going to be nice and easy straight away looking at it, because, well, let me show you exactly why. So first thing we've opened, bear in mind it's a keyboard issue. Look at that. So that flopping in the wind for a start. And then if we take that out, I can already see if this camera didn't overfocus. Probably go on the overhead cam, which I think is this one. There we go. So overhead cam, focus on, there we go. Wow, white is hard to find focus points on. So see that there? Now, I don't think that's gone all the way through, because you can see the pinkish part is the ribbon, like the copper, and it's only gone through a bit, but that's straight away sus. Got like a pretty bad dent in there. So we can check continuity on the ribbon. We can just go off these pins here and to the other side of this board. Oh yeah, there we go already. We've got the usual ban from TikTok, because we've apparently just sold something that isn't on TikTok. The same thing every time. So I should probably get this thing powered up first though, because we need to see it working before we do much. So luckily all these are socketed. Pretty simple board. Nothing, I mean, well, it doesn't look that simple looking at it, but it's a pretty simple design. We have power in here, power switch at the side. Then it goes to, we've got 9 volts that comes in on one of these switch pins, and 5 volts probably, I think the 5 volts comes in on the power supply, but we also have probably a regulator there as well. We can always pull the schematic up. Either way, we've got 5 volts and 9 volts. 9 volts on all these is pretty much always just used for driving the cassette, like 9 or 12 volts. So for testing for what we care about, we shouldn't need to bother with the 9 volts. We can just find a 5 volt point and send it in straight away, and then see what we get on screen. So I can either find out the pin out of this, or we can look at something like, say, the main chips, like the MOS chips, or any of these. We can look for a data sheet that's typically a 5 volt pin, or we can look for a regulator, which this is maybe slightly, probably more of a transistor than a regulator fuse on there. So I don't know. Let's maybe start with looking at the schematic a little bit, which is on here. So power, where is power? Got the RF port. And this, here we go. So this is the power section that we care about. Zoom in. And there we go. So we've got, this is the 4 pins. So these 4 pins here will refer to the connector here where the power goes. And the 5 volts goes through a filter and through the switch. So these 2 pins here are the physical switch I showed you at the side with multiple pins in. That's what that's representing. So before that, they go through line filters and EM filters, which we go back to this. In fact, this is probably a better view. So power comes in here, passes through. There's one of the coils, L2. Not sure which one that will be. That's probably the other EM filter. So we've got 2 here. So it goes from here through these 2 filters, through this physical switch here with a 2-pole switch, which will then be getting us up to this part. Oh, thanks for the sub. I think I just spotted a sub. And then these 2 little, I think what they've done here probably is put an extra, they're trying to make like a Y filter to remove some common mode noise from the mains, I guess. So is that going to be AC maybe? Yeah, so yeah, there you go, 9 volt AC. So what they've done here is made a basic, yeah, even the input side. They've done like a mains filter on the input in a sense. This is what you normally see on like 230 volt mains. And then through a rectifier into DC, and then just massive caps to smooth it out. So we'll have a huge cap. So that means this one will be a big cap to smooth out the really rough 9 volts. So at this point here, we're going to end up with a really, really rough 9 volts to drive the cassette motor. So we could, from that alone, we could figure out where the 5 volts is, or we can just look for 100 microfarad C1, or we could follow it then to somewhere else on the circuit. So there's many ways we can figure this out. There's a EM filter, a switch, C1, and the other one's massive. So what's the other pins as well? One's ground, one's 5 volt, 2 are AC. So we could, yeah, it's easy enough to figure out then. So let's do that. Let's find out where we're actually, yeah, it's probably the most long-winded way of finding out 5 volts, but this is the way we'll do it. There's the bridge rectifier as well, so that's 9 volts. We know that's 9 volts. So we just want ground, which is cages everywhere. So one of these is ground. So down there's ground. This is probably 5 volts. These 2 won't be. So 2 of these other pins are going to be 9 volts through this. I'd say it's going to be not through this. Are they actually marked? C3. Yeah, so they're actually going to be either side of the C3. Don't think that's quite focused either. There we go. So, yep, that's one side. And that isn't the other side. Okay, so it looks like 9 volt AC is on the top, ground's on the bottom, 5 volts down here. So if this is 5 volts, we'll do a sanity check first. Let's find out. Bottom. Switch is on, so we'd expect, oh, there's C1 as well, I think. Can't get under, of course. So we'd expect one of the MOS chips, for example, to be 5 volts. That's a pretty much guaranteed thing. They aren't 9 volts. So one of these you'd think could have the 5 volts on, if so. And it doesn't. There we go. So with the power switch on and off, that's on. So our double check would be pin 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So pin 15 of the 8551 should be 5 volts. So I can pull that up. Let's get, it's probably in the schematic, but it's easier to search for a pinout for it. So pinout, MOS 8551, and then put the other number in case it's that number, 4784. Now let's try another chip. That one's not coming up with a data sheet anytime soon. Let's go to some basic logic. Let's go to a 74LS08. There'll be a 5 volt on here, I'm sure, as well. Oh, there you go, first one I touch. That's never the 5 volt, surely. Okay, so let's get the 74LS08. That's an easy one to find. and we're presuming top left pin is power and top result is exactly that. So you can see top left pin here, VCC. So that's our confirmation. That's enough checking that we know over here. Oh, thanks for the sub. We know that it was this bottom one. So this is your 5-volt input, or we can solder to the bottom pin down there. Yeah, so we can pick up 5-volt anyway now. We can either solder onto here, solder onto here. So I'm probably gonna maybe tack a wire. We want it to be on the input side, so we're not like juicing it up without the power switch. We still want to maintain the power switch capability. Right, so it's the bottom pin, of course, it's the one that's underneath. Yep, so the bottom of this power switch, here's the 5 volts on the switch side, and this is what, when it's switched on, actually connects through there. This will be when it's switched on. So the bottom row here is after it's turned on, and the top row here is before, and then it passes through this filter and goes to there. So let's get a 5-volt wire on that and power this thing up and see what we're looking at. So where do we go? I don't know whether to take it out of the case. I suppose we might as well. 4, 5 screws. I mean, we probably don't need to take it out of the case, to be honest, for what we're doing at the minute. We'll wait. Let's just get some wire for 5 volt. Don't know where my other wire is. There we go. Let's just make a fresh run. Oh, everything's zoomed in like crazy. Don't remember zooming that in. Right, so I'll just get some fresh, flexible wire. And then we'll see, hopefully, this booting up. And the keyboard, looking at the schematic, let me pull that up there. So you see that rectangle? You probably don't know whether you can see it or not. Well, it'll say keyboard matrix. The way these old keyboards worked is there's as the name suggests, there's a matrix of 8 pins by the looks of it, an 8x8 matrix, is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so basically there's 16 pins on that ribbon, and one of the controllers, which looks like 6529, that'll be responsible for pulsing rows and columns. So making like a hatch, like a grid, basically, and putting 5 volts on one, 5 volts on another, and then when the button's pressed, it grounds it, and it scans by rapidly pulsing the bottom 8 rows high and low to ultimately just pin out over time to figure out which keys are pressed. It's just a fairly standard thing if you search up matrix keyboards. So it means if we get this powered up and we see, I think the customer mentioned multiple keys don't work. The key will be if those specific keys are in a row, in a sense. Now, the only other problem is we don't really know what the rows are, because I haven't got that information and I haven't worked on them enough to know, but there'll be, say the exact same keys on a certain row don't work, you know you're dealing with a single pin on that ribbon. Whereas if it's just keys that don't have any link between the same rows, or it's just, say, one random key, then you're probably dealing with a physical key. So it all just depends on exactly which keys don't work, but I'm not sure how useful it's going to be because I don't know which keys lie on which rows. So it's probably just going to be opening up this keyboard and looking specifically for damage and testing continuity. If it's not the ribbon, then it could be, if you look at these little blocks here, these are resistors. So this will be a reflection resistor or a termination resistor to stop reflection, I'd presume. It says FB though, so it might be noise suppression. Ferrite beads, they won't do anything on the line though. They're a poor choice. And then same here, you'll have pull-up resistors somewhere on here. You'd think, I can't see any, but you'd think you've got pull-up. So maybe this 6529 will be internally pulled up. So there's a few things to look for once we get it running. The most obvious is going to be that ribbon that already looks bad, or the connector that goes on it that looks pretty dicey. So it shouldn't be a complicated thing to fix. And the only other thing is the customer wants me to test everything after, but I don't know whether I've got a cassette, but I'd have to go find it out. I've also got a Kung Fu flash. I can't remember whether these work on the +4. We'd have to check out the GitHub. I know I've used them on the C16s. I don't know whether I've used them on the C4 or whether they're compatible. You'd think they would be, and then we could always test it that way. Right, so my choice is going to be, I'm going to go straight to the connector. I think it's easiest for me. I'm going to go on here. I guess that's now tacked on nicely. Ground, I'm just going to probably come over here and go to this outer ground rim here, making sure not to touch any plastic parts while we do it. There we go, and that's the new little B-Iron Nano, or the B Nano from JBC. So this is the smallest one they do. It's just got a reduced battery life, so you can't do too much with it when you're doing larger connections like this. You have to keep it on charge. Right, so that's got our flying leads now. So let's power this up. We need an AV connector. We shouldn't need the keyboard to power up. I don't think there's any kind of requirement to plug that in, so we're not even going to bother with that for now. Let's just get the AV connected. This is the same as the other Commodores. It's got the exact same AV port as the C64, so this can plug in there, and we'll go through the Retro Scaler 2X. And if all that works, we haven't powered anything up yet, but there we go. So we've got, that's the Retro Scaler's output, so we know that's at least showing. Let's get some power on now. So we'll just bench power this. This will also remove the possibility of a bad power supply, but the customer has says it works with the exception of the keyboard. So 5 volt. Be interesting to see what this pulls as well. So we've got 5 volt on, got the right wires, the right connector, and oh, that's already coming on with 0.8 amps. There we go. So good start. System works. AV's working. Power switch should now work. So even though we're bench powering off here. We've got control of it with the power button. So let's plug the keyboard back in first and just see where we're at and what keys don't work. So that's that. Flick on. So if anybody's interested, the 5-volt rail pulls about 0.9. So here we go. So so shift is apparently, shift locks on. I was going to say shift's held. Delete. Oh yeah, where's this way you start showing yourself up, remembering the keys on these. Right, so yeah, 7 isn't working. 8 is pressing 2. So maybe we'll make notes. Hey, welcome in. 9, 0, plus, minus, QW. So we might be dealing with on this one, that's weird. What I'm trying to gauge is if we're dealing with a single row or bad keys. At is acting as enter. So what we've got is crossed keys here, as well as the only one that was missing so far is 7, so maybe that's just a contact issue on that one. G is doing the wrong, I'm pressing out, yeah. Probably the most non-distinctive thing. I'd say, see, that's reading to me almost like there's a short on the connectors. Parts for it, we've got, this is a donor. Technically the customer wants both working, but this is one that he's happy to use as donor parts if needed. I'm pretty sure it's just going to end up being resistors or ribbon connector. But when you've got, obviously you can have normal keys just dead, which we have, say here, 7s. That could be a physical 7 press. But you'd expect quite a few in that row to not work. And I'm not really seeing that many keys not work. The main thing I'm seeing is keys do the wrong thing. Like that's V is pressing enter, at is pressing enter. So that'd normally mean, not always, but normally mean a short on a ribbon. So that hasn't really helped. The up works, the left works, the right works, the down. We've got a few keys that just don't work right. And like F3 is doing Q, help is doing F7. So I was hoping that was going to be a lot more informative than it's turned out to be. So I think we'll ignore what we're seeing, even though the idea there was I was hoping to see, you know, a set row of keys that weren't working, or something else. That's not what I wanted to see as such. So I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll get the keyboard out of the customers, and I could also get mine. That might be an idea as well. Might get mine. And then let's see if this changes behavior. If this gives exactly the same behavior using this keyboard and this, then it's pointing towards maybe motherboard issue, because the likelihood of 2 having the exact same fault on the keyboard is a diagnostic step. New grab as that as well. In the warehouse, it's by Alex's door, like right by it on the top shelf. Should see one of them, 1 or 2. It'll say +4 on. And then I think mine maybe works. So let's get into this one. This is the customer's actual original system. So this is the one they mainly want working, although they like both working if possible. So let's just try and figure stuff out, basically. Let's figure out the difference. And at the minute, we're using two faulty systems to diagnose, so it's not the best situation. But I'll see if the one I've got, I don't know whether the one I've got's fully working either, but the more we've got, the better we can compare things and see what the differences are. So keyboard off. Yeah, this one's, funny enough, this is kind of crushed in a similar fashion, and wonky in a similar fashion as well. So it's probably maybe when these things were assembled, they ended up getting crushed. Stuck key, I don't think they're stuck keys now. They physically move, and the membranes for most of them seem to press. But yeah, see how kind of crushed it is? It's like what happens is it's resting on these things, which is shift lock. So it's as if the plastic housing of the shift lock, these sharp pieces, push on this ribbon, like you can see where it's damaging. So the suspect would be this trace not being good. So that's something to bear in mind when we get that far. But like I say, at the minute, we're just bouncing ideas around and figuring, well, getting some base knowledge going on these first. Hey, afternoon. Well, I didn't even think it was that late either. It is afternoon already. Right, so 5 volts on this. Put the AV port back in. So this is now the customer's other keyboard. Let's get the HDMI up. So if I remember rightly, the 7 didn't work. So let's see. There you go, straight away different behavior. Oh wow, nothing's working. Okay, that one is, oh wow, that's, so a few keys work, but majority don't work on this keyboard. That hasn't helped us either. Oh, thanks for the 7-month sub. So this is not helping as much with diagnostics, because if you're missing almost all keys, you're probably dealing with the main, one of these pins on the ribbon will be like a main trigger for activating on and off. Oh, thank you. I think it's been ages since we've had any donations. Thank you very much. I noticed the alert thing's cutting off, but I can see it in the chat, luckily. Have you been to Crash Live? No, I haven't. I barely get time to sleep at the minute. So this one, we have a similar behavior there. So yeah, this has not really helped us. Right. Let's do the only other way we can do it at the minute then, which is to, well, we'll be able to do it a third way in a second, but is that light going to stay? See, now I've actually lubricated the lights so they don't make noise. They're no good for a little rest now because they keep moving. The next thing we can do is we want to also, let me just put a quick Sharpie on this. Oh yeah, we don't want the coffee getting contaminated. I haven't even got one. I've drank it before I've come on stream. I've drank a coffee and a tea. I should get a coffee in a minute. I'm going to put a C on this one for customers original. I can always wipe that off with IPA. And the reason is that this is the customer's original one. So this is sentimental value wise. So we want to not get them mixed up. Now I want to put the power wires on the customers with the donor keyboard, which is still the customer's, but his donor, to see what behavior that gives us. No idea what we're learning yet. I don't know myself. This is, you don't always know what you're doing until you get so far. I'm pretty much just trying to form some theories and ideas, and I'm looking for something that, it's hard to explain really. This is kind of how I learn. I'm just looking for something that sparks my imagination or triggers an idea that might make sense to say, this behavior is the same here or different here, it means something. But at the minute, everything we've observed isn't really telling me much. Like, it's not really helping me out in any way so far. Sorry for TikTok chat that got buried behind the schematics and I didn't see. Let's have a look. I have a strange issue with soft mod on OG. Some games play perfectly, others graphics issues. Simplest thing is actual corrupt data on the drive. That's the most obvious. Otherwise, it could be the way it drives the CPU or GPU. Could be an indicator. What we're working on today, these are Commodore +4, so similar to the Commodore 16s and 64s, just a lot less popular. Like, most people have never even seen these. So both of them have got keyboard issues. So that's what we're trying to figure out at the minute. And I've just got mine dropped off here as well. So this is not my personal one as such. This is one I own, because I always buy consoles and work on. So we finally got another one we can test on in a minute with a missing key, so we can't go getting these confused. That should, between 3 of them, should give us the info we need to diagnose this. We'd like to think. So same again, let's get the 5-volt wires tacked onto the corner. And I've got to try and remember what I was doing as well, which was, I think, the donor system with donor keyboard. Button 7 didn't work. At acted as enter. And I think V acted as enter. They're like some standout things I remember. And then if we put the customer's keyboard in the donor, almost all keys didn't work. So that's a sign that I'd say at least the customer's keyboard's got a broken trace for sure, because the change in behavior, the only realistic thing is, it's unlikely that every single key on that keyboard is bad. It's much more likely one of them 16 pins is bad. So I think we've definitely got at least 2 different issues. That's the only thing we know for sure. But that's as much as we've figured out so far. I think we've got either just bad luck and both keyboards are bad, or ribbons are bad on the keyboards, or we have multiple issues, not just one. So it's much more likely we've got a few issues we're dealing with that we'll obviously narrow down in a minute and figure out. And like I say, it doesn't help that I don't have a power supply for this, so I'm having to jerry-rig each of these consoles up, or computers, as I'll get told off for calling them consoles. So that's the 5-volt on. Now for the ground. Check the TED and CPU. Yeah, there's we don't need Google for this, but the TED, I'm going to guess, will be, based on the schematic, the 6529. Don't know what it even stands for, but it'll be the interface between the CPU and the keyboard matrix, probably. We'll get to basically checking that once we've done things like basic continuity and checking the ribbons and things like that. We're just starting with more of the diagnostics at the start. Black screen, unresponsive keyboard. Yeah, we haven't got black screen. These fully boot up. There's just a keyboard issue so far, so we're almost definitely dealing with, well, dirt everywhere. I think pull-up resistors or damage to the ribbons is my guess at the minute. So we have this is customer's console now, 5-volt on there. Customer's console actually pulls slightly more. Turn that off and connect now. So customers, I'll tell you what, let's just do customer's machine, customer's keyboard. Hey, welcome in. So if this is going to act the same, this would be pretty much no key working, and I think it was F2 and F3, or F3 and help were giving the number 2. This is all off memory at the minute. So let's see. So right, that's good in one way, not good in another. So completely different behavior. than the other one. So we have totally different behavior altogether. Be nice to find a single working system to then work our way backwards. Now let's try the donor keyboard in the customers and see what this does. So this was most keys working with the odd ones being different. There we go, kind of. Right, this is better. So now this is looking very good. So it does 7 work. Right, perfect. So this now looks like it's maybe fully working. Yep, clear home and delete. Let's restart so I can. And there's the restart. Delete. Now I can never remember. Do you have to go back and delete? Is it shift and delete? I can never remember on the Commodore. Anybody know if you meant to press the delete to delete on Commodores? I have a feeling you don't. If so, that button isn't working. Let's carry on testing. So we might have we have the return not working. Shift. Right, so that shift works. That shift works. F1. Anyone know what the F1, F2, F5 and so on do? I'm presuming we know the shift works anyway. Yeah, so every button on this keyboard works with the exception of return, unless return doesn't do what I'm thinking and it's run stop. Return or run stop. Which I'm probably just not loading in right here. Return, run stop and delete we haven't tested. So we know clear home works because it goes to the top. The only ones I'm not 100% sure of then is the inst delete, the run stop and the return. Everything else is working. Every other key. So that would tell us that the system is fine and this keyboard's fine, which means the customer's keyboard is bad and the customer's donor motherboard is bad. So there's this one looks like a fully good keyboard. That's where we're at so far. So what do we do with that information? We put on here, we'll put a D for donor and an OK with a question mark until we confirm 100%. I'm not confident on the run, stop, return and inst keys, but if there was only them 3, you're more than likely dealing with just a mechanical issue on them specific keys. This is the customers and it seems like it's okay as far as we can test. So customers console okay. Now for the third test, let's see where mine is at. The more things we have to compare, the better. And thanks for the follow. Right, so we're going to have to do the same on this one. Keyboard, not, ooh. Somebody's had to go with doing something on this. We've got the most random heat sinks from, that's like 1990s style heat sinks. So this has had, I think they've attempted to glue heat sinks on there and realized it hits the keyboard as well, or something else. Anyway, so this one's mine. We need to attach the wires again. And then with that, we'll see if we can get both machines up and running. And we need to probably see if we can load that Kung Fu Flash. I'd like see if that even works. Has anybody looked on Kung Fu Flash GitHub to see if it supports the Commodore Plus 4? If so, we can attempt to load some stuff. If not, I'll have to either. We could always, I think the customer's in the UK, so we could always post the systems back, and he's got all of his own games and cassettes and things he could test. And then if it didn't work, he could post it back. But ideally, we could do with the Kung Fu Flash working. And you can see for intermittent work like this as well, just on-off short soldering jobs, the little nano lasts fine. It's just mainly if you're doing consistent batch work or just using the iron non-stop, then you need the bigger one that we use, the B500. This will obviously only last so long with it being the smallest version, but it's just as powerful. It's like you've got no issues with how much power it can push through. It's just how long you can use it without charging, basically. So you can see it's attaching wires to the ground planes, no problem. This would have been so much quicker if I actually had a power supply as well, but never mind. Right, so that's the same again. Connect in here. I don't know whether this is even going to work, so I'm just going to connect the keyboard up anyway. And let's see if this one. This one's got a bad ribbon as it is. Very, very weak pins that are already bending off this connector, so you can see them already kind of moving off. So this one is only going to survive being plugged in a few times. Yeah, this one's this ribbon is already pretty much done for. Could do with getting it in once to at least test. Yeah, so we haven't got anything to test. The only thing we can do then is type up some. Oh, got all heatsink gunk all over my top now. Wicked. I've got to walk around with big stains on me. So we can only really test this by typing in programs, I guess, to see if that can show us anything useful. Right, so let's see if this one works anyway. This one is drawing an amp, so they all draw roughly the same, 0.92 an amp. Right, what does this do? Look at that, keyboard works. So now hopefully, does enter do anything? Yeah, so the return on that keyboard doesn't work because it does what I thought it should do. Run stop, we're probably going to have to actually type something. Oh, thanks for the follow. Now then, this will be basic. Can anybody remember basic? Will it be, I guess we can just do print first. Oh, these keyboards are horrible. Yeah, and the delete button does delete. So we've got issues with the delete, the return, and probably the run stop as well. Is it just like print? Oh, and the spacebar on this is wicked. Spacebar on this doesn't work. Yeah, so code lines, I guess. Yeah, we could start with, I don't know what we can do because I haven't got a space. Wow, let's restart again. 10. Now, do we have the colon on these or not? I don't think we do, but kind of, there we go, we've got a space. We will do we could just run it once, to be honest. We just do print, and that'll do us. Return, and then can't we technically just run that once? Oh, does a run stop not work on this then? Or we're going to have to type run? I genuinely can't remember. Yeah, so we can run once, but I thought run stop pressing would just load. Run stop works if you press shift, so the button must work. But, oh, is it stop? Stop is default and shift is the run. Yeah, so if we restarted fresh, shift and run. So shift and run will load what's left in. Well, it's actually searching for the drive at the back. Control, is there anything? How do we test control? We know delete now doesn't work on the other. We know return doesn't. We know run stop doesn't unless we hold shift and double check. But we need to test control somehow. That's the only thing we need to test now. So there you go. Control and Q causes it to go to new line. So there we go. That's how we test. Yeah, right. So that's all we need to know. So we can now. Ironically, then, this is almost a fully working keyboard with the exception of space, but this is not in good shape. So this is going to be R6, kind of okay. Kinda okay. Space, poor. So we could probably service our keyboard if needs be. It looks like our system's working as well, at least the basics, you know, loading up a screen and running. We haven't tested cassettes or anything like that, but seems genuinely, there's that thing we're on about, genuinely or generally okay. So now we've got this keyboard. This is one we thought was okay, which was the donor. So let's test it in this system now and see if that control, run stop, and return actually work or not. That's what we need to test. The ribbon, yeah, I could figure something out with the ribbon. I could also wire it. Right, so return, yeah, this is the problem on this one. There you go. So return is just a contact issue, so that's just a cleaning issue under there, which is good. Control Q works, so both controls actually work. The other issue was delete. So is this just again? Yeah, luckily contact issue. So we have controls are fine. Delete and return work, they're just dirty. And the run stop now, shift and run, yes, nice. So this is a fully working keyboard, just with a dirty delete, return. That's it, delete and return. So that's all we need to do. So I don't know whether I've got my key remover tool. So the first thing is get the customer's machine working by simply putting this keyboard in his system. That will get us his working one. And then we can look at trying to do something with the others. But we need to get these keycaps off first. Or, yeah, we probably need to get the keycaps off, I think, is the best bet here to service these. Space key on this one worked. It was mine that was bad. Let's just double check that, though. Yeah, so this one is the donor, which is that level of responsiveness. It's pretty much normal for the keyboard to, like, you know, sometimes you have to just press the keys twice. That is pretty much standard. We'll obviously clean the membrane though. This is now, see if I can have a look at the membrane. I don't know whether this can be a ribbon membrane. Commodore +4 keyboard. Membrane, let's see, has it rubber or... it looks like it's carbon. That's not, yeah, that's not good. Oh, that's a C64. Parts for the +4. I suppose we could literally just look under this keyboard. That's how we find out, but... Rubber key parts, so they maybe they're just rubbers and springs. Let's just have a look. Let's get it open and see what we're dealing with. I'll probably use mine for this, actually. Where have I put mine? There. because we can literally see the key here that's missing. So let's just pop another one off for now. So yeah, they're like the Amigas. So you've just got a spring and a switch in there. So this is not going to help us taking the keys off. Hey, welcome in. Working on 3 Commodore Plus 4s. Alright, so I reckon we get the back off mine and just look at this first. See what is going to happen when we take the back off. No, I've only got one of these. This is my one. We're just about to take apart. They're not very common at all. Most people haven't even seen them or know about them, to be honest. So they're not that common. Of course, there's 800 screws in the back of this, so I'm going to have to do this 3 times. The other thing I haven't got the power supplies for them, so I'm about to solder the wires to all of them, but it turns out the joy ports are specific to the Plus 4 as well, so I don't even have anything for like joy port or controller to test with. So it's pretty much going to have to be fix the keys up, type some code in to test what we can, like maybe audio, just make a sound loop, and then the customer's going to have to just test the rest, but hopefully that's all it's going to be. Yeah, funnily enough, I've just done the print 10 hello thing. We've got one more screw hidden somewhere. Nope. Oh, we've got an LED soldered. Luckily this is mine, so we can figure out what's going on. This is why I like to trial on mine first. It's either just going to be physically stuck in. So, you know, I don't think the customer would mind doing this. Just on mine, I'm going to just snip the LED wires and solder them back in, because I want to be able to take this back off without all the springs and things coming out. And I'm pretty sure, yeah, that was holding it in. And so this keycap, the shift lock keycap, looks like we'd have to pop out as well. Yeah, desolder shift key. I think just lift it off. I don't think we need to desolder it. Maybe you do. Yeah, no, you're right, you do. You have to desolder the shift key. So much for taking the cap off. And there we go. We should be in now. Commodore Plus 4 8-bit computer, blah, 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 blah. Also, blah, blah, blah. Originally priced at $299. Cool. Oh, yeah. So, actually, that's not a bad thing. We've actually got copper connections on here, so we should be able to clean that up. And we've got little rubbers in there, so yeah, this should be serviceable, because I've got this as well, a donor. So the keys that are not great, if the cleanup doesn't work, we can probably just nick some of the rubbers out of my one, So that's easy enough. Let's move mine out of the way a sec, and let's try and get. What do we want to get here? Yeah, the 116. I only know about that from looking for the schematics for the +4 and the group together on the something like Commodore Canada website or something, commodore.ca. They're kind of in with it, so I think they're a very similar system, but I've never seen one of them, I don't think. Right, what are we doing on this? That's mine and the donor. So yeah, this is the one we want to try and get. Working. So we have a poor contact on the delete and return keys. That was it, wasn't it? Everything else was fine. So we just need to service, hopefully. We'll service all of it, but hopefully them two keys and we're sorted. So let's get all these screws off again. Yeah, I thought the same thing with the app. I've never got a notification on the app. I still haven't got one now, but other people do. I need to look at why. We've got a completely different app coming soon that once we've done that, I'll really dig into the notification stuff and see if I can figure out why it's not working. And maybe even just have like purposefully test notifications so I can click a button when we're not live that sends it through the exact same path, with the exception of just the actual notification trigger coming from a live start, and then we'll know where the issue is. Ooh, thanks for the follow. Some number from the Matrix. That's a nice username. Oh, thought this had died then. Yeah, I think, to be honest, it was probably the fact, I think it links into Twitch notification, so it's probably a failure on Twitch's part to even ping up and notify anyone. And that is all the screws off. I'm going to do my little trick on the LED because that's got to come off. So we'll just clip the little pins there, and then we will just blob solder back on them too when we're done. That's the answer for the LED. And then we will desolder this switch. And now this should lift off, I think, if I remember rightly. There we go. Look at that. So now we've got some rubbers here. Ooh, new sub goal. 10 subs. That's the first time we've been gaining subs on Twitch for ages. So these are rubber pads. Let's go over the top now, maybe, so you can see this better. Right, so here is the top. You can see the F keys have got the rubbers, so they're the easier ones to replace. We also have the arrow keys at the bottom that are rubbers that I'm putting back on. And then all the others are these black things are the rubbers effectively. This is carbon infused rubber. So how pretty much every button you press on anything. Can I get that out, or is it stuck on? Yeah, they kind of don't come out easily. That's yeah, it's not super easy swap. Ooh, spud. I was going to say about them. Yeah, probably. We've got the usual. Got the stream nosh. Ooh, oh, where's that going? And then on the top here, see, these look nice and clean. So these are basically copper coated with gold, and they look. Let me turn that light on. Studio, there we go, a bit brighter. Thank you. Yeah, those contacts don't look too bad, so we'll still clean them all, but the problem is going to be then these rubber pads, and they don't just come out by pulling them. They've got some blue tape holding them in, so, and then the whole button is kind of on an entire mechanism. So this isn't the best best way to service. So let me just get some grub anyway. We'll jump onto that in a second. You guys now get to see me eat regular Subway jacket potatoes. I've had like 3 of them since that first time. Now this is like the 3rd time I've had these spuds. I guess we can think what the hell we're going to do with this then, because we only need to clean 2 pins up, like 2 keys. But it doesn't look like you can easily remove them unless they come out the other way. We might be able to flip it over and pull it out that way. IPA, yeah, we'll start with the usual cleaning. My concern more so is it doesn't look dirty. So I'm not sure how confident I'm going to be in just the clean doing its job. There we go, we'll do a nosh every few minutes, I reckon. Living here for 20 years, not learned to hit the tatty on top. Oh, you've got it. You need to get these Subway spuds. They're quite nice. This one's not as nice as the ones I've had the other day. They're hit and miss sometimes. I've had 3 now. 2 of them, or I had 4. Anyway, the first one was nice, but the 2 in between these have been really nice. This one's like a little bit dry, but still good. Yeah, so the keys we need to fix are, so the trick to know, just press the key in. You can see that's the one, and that one. So these are the 2 we'd want to focus on. And you can see they don't really look dirty at all. They are just rubber. So if I maybe full focus when we're up top. So you can see there. The other thing it could be is the rubber being a bit weak and spreading out. Where's the other one? Return, and that one. So they seem to be the hitting and the rubber. I don't know. Let's see if full focus just there. Let's get the multimeter. So, like I said, this rubber isn't just rubber. It's got carbon infused inside of it, so it's conductive, or graphite, or whatever they'll put inside. But either way, conductive powder will go inside the rubber mix. And the idea is to short the voltage low, typically. So we'll put it in, zoom out a bit. So touching that, we'll get 0 ohms. But let's just say touching over this rubber, you can see you've got about 160 ohms. So conductive rubber. And this one, that's one of the bad ones. About the same. So I don't think it's going to be the rubber. This one, is it? Yeah, this one here. Yeah, 200-ish. Try this one. 300-ish. So they're all fine. They're within a few hundred ohms. So the rubbers are not going to be the problem. But we can spray it with IPA anyway. We'll just clean these rubbers quickly with a bit of IPA and cotton bud. And then we'll check the same on the PCB side. And I don't think it's going to be anything beyond them two, because there's only 2 buttons that don't work, like well. I'll try not to get IPA on my spud. So I'm just going to give that. It's not going to do much. And for now, we'll just focus on the trouble ones. These rubber pads, a trick for this. This is why it would have been easier if it was the pads. You can just take these rubber pads out, turn them over on a piece of paper, push down and drag. And see that little streak? You're taking off a thin layer of effectively grease and grime over the years. And that's how you pretty much polish them back to being more responsive. So if it was a basic rubber pad, this would have been easier. We can do the same on the other rubbers. We could like push them up with a finger and drag. Wow, I can write it 2 years ago. We could drag the paper over in reverse. I might try that. But yeah, these ones are easy to service. So all that little bit of black does them. And then let's just try. If I push that button up and rub this pad over maybe. Oh, there you go, that works. So push up, rub. I'll work for that one. Get in there. There we go. So that's rubbed. Magic sponge, maybe. I'm just used to doing it on the paper. I know that works. So that's the 2 that we cared about for now. I can always, like I say, service the other keys afterwards. But for now, we're just interested in getting this this existing one fully working. Yeah, spud's a bit dry today. I've got a little spring in the corner as well. Just noticed that was missing. Right by the LED, power LED, there's like a tiny little spring that was coming loose. I think I just caught it with my hand when I was noshing. Right, so this one goes in that way, and this will be, I think, this one and this one. So again, you can't really measure continuity as such going somewhere because they bridge between each other when they're pressed, but what you can do is just go to the very outside edges like this and screw that in. You can see you've got perfect ohms, and then go on this dirty patch here. Pretty much perfect. So yeah, you pretty much got perfect there. So it's probably going to be the rubbers, but we'll still clean these pins anyway. It doesn't take much to make them non-responsive. Where is my pencil eraser? I haven't used it in that long. Where actually is it? Let's go to, oh, I've got neck ache as well. I think I've been sitting funny for a while. I don't know where the pencil eraser is. I lost it. Go Nick Zacks. So again, just focusing on the keys that we care about for now. And then I will, well, to be honest, how quick this is, all we're doing is, you can see how those little lines have disappeared now. So I don't know, let's pick, zoom in a bit. So you can see this kind of different colour. So see this like lighter bit in the middle where the rubber has touched. If we just rub over that with a pencil eraser, for example, you can see it's now gone. So that's what we're doing. Doesn't look like you're doing much, other than knocking all the screws everywhere. 90% of them landed on me. And I've got spares, luckily, from mine. Well, maybe I only dropped the one. There's two, there's three. No, I dropped quite a few. So yeah, all we will do is pretty much rub over the whole board like this to clean it. And this will help all the keys. It does make a difference because you're basically rubbing off like grime and oil and stuff. A keyboard reed switch in the key stem has small magnet when plunged. Nice. Yeah, it's I don't know why they don't use it more in key. Probably the cost, but then again, it's not that expensive to use reed switches. So basically, you never get a mechanical issue as such because obviously there's no contact. They probably do. Well, I know they do because there's I've got a gaming keyboard that does that, and the benefit of having a reed switch as well is you can actually have the very accurate depth sensing because as the reed switch gets closer to the magnet, it pulls it more and more electrically. So you can have it very fine-tuned on position of keys, not just a press. I'm covered in powder. Oh, there's another screw. All right, I think that is pretty much all we can do on this keyboard, but I'm pretty confident this is going to be fully working now. And then we're on 1 o'clock. We'll probably jump on a Neo Geo after this. So let me get some more of the spud in first, and then we'll go for an assembly on this one. Anybody know how to find out a code we can write on the +4 to test the sound? I think it's just something like sound and then volume, pitch, number of repeats. Fairly simple command. I can hear Rusty barking. He'll be after everybody else's potatoes. Yeah, definitely drier. Probably the driest one I've had from Subway. A bit of an overcooked spud. No, they've been really good. I've had, like, say, I think of 4, but this one isn't the best. Still nice tasting, but it's dry. So 10 volume 8. So set the volume. 20 do 30 input X. So we're getting an input. If X is over a value we enter, then it's lower. 0 to 100. Yeah, we don't need that complicatedness. We can directly do sound 1, a number, and 10. Yeah. So I can't remember what it is, but just look at the syntax for the sound. So you've got sound 1, a number, and 10. I'm pretty sure the middle one, X, is going to be your pitch, your frequency. So what that code will probably do is make like a gradually increasing frequency pitch. We just won't be able to type it and press enter, so we can do sound 1, 500 say, and then 10 I'm guessing is the repeat amount or the length of the noise. Yep, so obviously that's all we'll need to do. Does anybody know what them 3 numbers are? Obviously 500 is definitely going to be the frequency in hertz, I'd say. 1 is probably, I don't know, sound channel. They've maybe got different drivers. And 50, I'm going to guess, is 50 milliseconds. 1 is tone. Right, so let's try and put this thing back together. Right, all the rubbers are in. There's that little spring I was on about. Yep, frequency, that'll be in hertz. So I nearly knocked this little spring out. Little tiny spring there. When I was having my little snacky snack. So just be careful of that if you are doing it. Right. Yeah, so pretty much right then, other than I don't really know what the tone is. Is it like different tone banks and you can just make a certain tone at that frequency? I always forget. Arrows, it goes that way. Those will solder on after, those will go there. So that's all on. And away we go. Screw the screws in. And then short of, I don't know how much, are these keyboards maybe, or consoles going for a certain price? Because all I'm thinking is getting the customer's computer working, because it's sentimental, is what we'll now achieve. But if he wants the other one working, obviously my labour time is probably more than buying another keyboard for the other one if he did want the other one working. Like to strip the other one down, clean all the keys, clean all the rubbers, test all the ribbon connections and repair them. Probably talking another £80 in labour, which I'm guessing you can buy a keyboard or the machine working for less than that. So it's probably not going to be worthwhile getting the donor one repaired up if it is just the keyboard's entire membrane needs servicing and, you know, connector and stuff. But if the parts are expensive or he wants it, we can obviously spend the labour time figuring that out. I think this is definitely crying out for a charge. A number between 1 and 3, which represents the channel. Channel represents the serial output. Whereas channel 3 activates channel 2's what? Yeah, I've got vague memories of all this when I was doing the sound on one of the other Commodores a while ago. So basically we changed the first number and we should get different types of sound anyway, and it should be at 500 hertz either way. Oh, you can't use the can't plug and play, or what is it? Yeah, can't plug and play the screwdriver. If it's charged and you can't use it. It's almost got a Rolls-Royce logo on the back of the keyboard. What's that, do you reckon? Backwards Rolls-Royce? I'm not even going to finish this dry spud. I don't think I'm just going to have the meats. I say I'm not going to finish it. I've left like 2 millimeters of potato. I've basically eaten it. 2 peas in a line. Why? What's it mean? How'd it go? We've cleaned the rubbers with the pencil, and we've cleaned the board with... so we've cleaned the rubbers with paper, and we've cleaned the gold contacts with pencil eraser, and then IPA'd it. And now we're just assembling to see if that's done the trick. And then we just want to decide if... I don't know what the cost of a new keyboard is, because we're likely going to get this one working for the customer's own, but I don't know if the donor is worth... We've got some time on the donor because there's a basic service, but it's how far we go with it. We'll try it. I'm just considering, obviously once his working, so that's no problem. But to try and get the donor, I'm trying to judge how far we go with the repair versus potentially just replacing the keyboard if they're not that expensive. But I've got no idea how much. They're probably not going for that much, I wouldn't have thought. But again, I suppose with them not being very common, maybe they're going for more than we think. So now I've got to solder the LED back on. I think my own one is I can't even remember. Was my keyboard working? It was kind of working, wasn't it? On my one. That's it. So that's the LED back on. Oh yeah, I put on mine kind of working spacebar. So to be honest, I could probably service mine and get it working, but I'll probably, I don't know what I'll do. Right, so we've got now my board out the way, my keyboard out the way. This is mine here. We've got the customer's donor, well, the customer's keyboard down there that's properly destroyed. And we have this now. Hey, welcome in. So this keyboard looks perfectly fine. And obviously inside here, we'll give like a quick clean up and service, polish all these pins and stuff. Let's see if we can get it working first. And then all the basic servicing and stuff we can deal with after. I won't bore you watching me clean dirt off connectors and that. We'll do that off-stream part of the wrap-up process before we send anything out and test and so on. Right, so hopefully HDMI, zoom out a bit, we're way too zoomed in. And ground is ground, 5 volt on 5 volt. And then AV ports in, oh, that should come on hopefully. We have power LED. Brought to GBA, needs a screen, nice. get that clean screen in there. Right, so this has decided to no longer show. Let me check if the Elgato's. Yeah, the Elgato's decided to do its usual thing, where we get that stupid incompatible resolution thing, which means I have to get on my hands and knees every time, unless I can trick this somehow into showing me something. No, of course, got to get on my hands and knees every time. I need to move this Elgato or replace it. It just doesn't like working, basically. And then down I go. Yeah, to be honest, it probably is Mac, because the Elgato would normally work. At least you can hear me normally when I'm under here now, because I've got the lapel mic. I could probably, of course, one-handed trying to plug a USB back in. There we go. Definitely need. I could plug in like a remote USB kill switch, so I don't have to get on my hands and knees like that. Oh joy, still nothing. There we go. Yeah, you're huffing and puffing. I can't get away from how unfit I am now, and I have to go under the table. Right, so other keys work as they did. Delete was really bad. Yes, look at that. Every press. Return was really bad. Da-da! Oh yeah, there we go. So fully working. I think run and stop was working, but you have to hold shift, was it, to see something? There we go. That's it then. We've got his working. So other than the normal stuff that's not really technically challenging now, we've got to just clean up and service this. So I'm going to move this one out of the way, clean up my desk, contemplate, or do we go for... thinking on something. Oh yeah, let's test this first. So we have, what is it? Sound. Oh, sound. So tone bank 1. Was it commas? Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Go 500 hertz, and let's go. Oops. Let's go 100. So we get probably 100 microseconds, maybe. Nothing. Or did you guys hear anything? And can I just rerun that? Or have I not run it yet? Or would you type run? I so forget what I'm doing. Sound. Let's just do 550 in case there's a limit. No. I need to watch. I've done it twice now and then forget. Can I do that as well? No, of course I can't. Sound. 1. 500. 10 maybe. Let me look at the... Yeah, there's no sound coming out of that. That's all plugged in. Let's turn on the CRT in case we've got the usual capture card issue again. And I don't even know whether we're running that application. Let's just do what? 10. Sound 1. 550. I don't know whether you can't have spaces as well. I'm putting spaces and everything. 20, go to 10. And then is it just run? Maybe, and then that's stop. Yep. Run. Doesn't run the same thing. Run. Yeah, so no sound there, but maybe you don't put spaces in. Sound 1, 500, 10. No. So maybe hang on. Is the sound reliant on the 9 volts? Because we aren't powering this from 9 volts at the minute. So that's probably... let's see. I wouldn't have thought so, but we are missing. Turn that CRT off now. Just looking through PC. Oh yeah, the volume thing. Mustn't... haven't set the volume yet. I suppose, yeah, do it all in one line. Does it let you do that, maybe? I wouldn't have thought so, but yeah, I don't think you can do that. Let's just do vol 8. And now sound 1, 550. There you go. So yeah, turn the volume up first. I don't remember having to do that on the Commodore 64s. So that's that working then. Very basic test, but the customer can test everything else anyway, and obviously it's still under warranty with us if there's issues. So that wraps up that one. Let's have a look now at the donor one. Let's see what we can do with that. That's my, oh yeah, that's my keyboard with all the rubbers falling out. Because of course I just put it upside down on the floor. Oh yeah, rubbers everywhere. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I'm missing a rubber now. There we go. Oh, I'm missing a key as well. Yeah. And get all mine out of here. Because this is just going to be for parts anyway, minus. Is your spud dry? Mine was dry as fuck. Yeah, it was nice, tasted nice, but yeah, it was like dust. Like a 90-year-old spud. Get these away. Right, so, oh yeah, get that little spring out because that'll go missing. This is my keyboard, I'm just cleaning some mess up. No, I've officially lost one of the rubbers, I think, on mine. Not that it matters too. Oh, I'm missing a key anyway, so it doesn't really matter too much. It's definitely a partial keyboard. Yeah, and one of these fell out as well, so they must come out. Which, oh, it's the one that's missing the top. So yeah, if you wanted to take them out, you could actually just remove the keycap. And then that comes out for easy cleaning. So I suppose it is serviceable in that way. So let's keep him as well. I think they put butter on. What do you think on the spud? Do you think there's butter on them? Yeah. See, that one was, yeah, it was pretty dry, that one I've just had, but it's like I say, it was still nice tasting, but definitely dry. Right, that's mine. And that. That's the customers that fully works. That's the keyboard. So that's the keyboard we need to try and fix. That's like really bad. That doesn't work in many ways. But then we had this as well, which we were suspecting this is the customer's other board. We're suspecting this has got other issues, but now we have a known fully working keyboard. Let's prove that, because now if the keyboard doesn't work, we know it's not related to the keyboard, because we know this is a fully working keyboard. So then we'll maybe, I don't know how much we dive into diagnosing that, because if the other keyboard doesn't work, it's not a solution anyway. You know, it's only going to get us so far. But let's see. Now we've got a kind of starting point. Okay. No, so see how like 7 doesn't work. And was it the at? Yeah, the at is the enter. So this is a motherboard issue now that we're dealing with. But if we fix the motherboard and the keyboard still doesn't work, this is where I'm debating how much do we want to spend the time diagnosing this versus not wasting the customer's money. Let's have a look. Commodore +4. Ooh. +4. They're like 100 and... No, they're like 80 quid. No, somebody doesn't know what they've got. Somebody's listed it as a Commodore Plus 4 and it's a Commodore 64. Unless there's a 64 Plus 4 that I don't know about. They're actually hard. I can't even find one to buy. 150 there. So there's one at 150, one at 180, and there isn't any others. So yeah, maybe we try to get this other one working then. Yeah, so let's stay with the working keyboard for now. I'm not going to waste my time trying to fix a keyboard. But let's look at the schematic then, what we're dealing with. So keyboard's here. I don't know what this is symbolizing. Keyboard matrix connector. So this rectangle here is, well, effectively these 18 pins that show there on the edge. There's my mouse. They're representing these pins here, these 18 pins on this kind of flexi board. They look okay, just from a glance. There's no shorted pins I can see. And then they go through all of these ferrite beads in a row. So all of them we can check for continuity. That's the first step. And then after that it goes to this here. That's that 6529. And of course it's not socketed, so we'd have to swap that from my donor potentially. And then I'm guessing that's also a custom chip in a sense, not an off-the-shelf chip we can replace. So then if it is a chip, then the cost goes up again, and we're dealing with needing chips off donors plus keyboard service. It starts becoming a risk of being, not economical to repair if it's not the customer's own one. Right, so all of them are fine, which means all these beads, that's what we just tested, all of them are fine. There is a chance that the joy port connectors, now the joy ports have the pull-ups on them. So you know them resistors I was on about for pull-ups? It looks like if we zoom in on here and go over, see these dots here? This is, let's go back for the vertical. These dots here mean the signal comes down and carries on over here. So goes through CR11, which is a diode, and then gets pulled up here. So this pull-up will be fine. And the diode will just stop it from, which way around will this stop it from? I'll stop these two joy ports interfering with each other and the pull-ups pulling both down. So if we sunk this low, it couldn't pull this side. Yeah, so basically we want to check. I presume these two pull-ups are one there, go down through. No, I think those pull-ups are just for the joy port pins, not the keyboard then on the switch. It's worth checking maybe anyway. And I don't think a diode failing could cause an issue. So we've got all these components we could check, but I wouldn't say they're highly suspect. That's like, yeah, not, I don't know, I wouldn't suspect them, but maybe we'll look at them. The high suspect is U1, which is the 7360, which these go into, but that's not the highest one. I'd say the highest one is the 6529B, which it basically goes into and then comes out of to go into U2. So it could realistically be many things. It could be the ferrite bead sending 5 volts to the keyboard as well, which we've tested, I think. 57, no we haven't, it's here. Yeah, so that one's fine, so 57's fine. Yeah, I'd say my gut's going to tell me the 6529B is the fault. But it could be this chip, it could be the U2 chip, it could be the U1 chip. It could even less likely be these pull-ups or diodes. It can't be the ferrite beads because if they disconnect, it can't interfere. The diodes, without a joy port connected, actually the diodes can't be the problem unless they break open. So let's maybe just try and find the diodes by the joystick ports. So they're all here. So all these diodes, unless any of them are shorting together, that would explain it. Nope, none of them are shorting. So the only way these would cause the problem is if we're relying on the pull-ups of, oh sorry, here are the diodes. None of them are shorting. So what are these ones? Oh, these are the ferrite beads. So these can't be the problem anyway, unless they were shorting, which we just looked at. If they're disconnected, it can't do anything. So now it's just checking the diodes, and we probably want to be in diode mode for this. So 1.4, you kind of can't see there. Zoom out a bit. Well, we'll get that on the screen somehow. There we go, I'll do. 1.5, 1.5. So they're all 1.5, but they're also all they're all finding paths back to each other, which I'm not sure is normal. We haven't got power applied. Let me just check that against the customer's working one. It might be normal on the circuit, but that's slightly strange behaviour. No, that's normal. So all them are fine. Oh yeah, I've got loads of flukes. I've got the 115. I've probably got pretty much every version and brand of the fluke. So these CRs, if we go to the schematic, are these CRs here. So we just eliminated 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, all of them. So we've tested all of them, which means everything this side can't be a problem unless the pull-ups were not working, which are the little red things. So these with resistance, if we basically put it into resistance mode, and let's see if I can get that in view again, sort of. I need to fix my software that shows the multimeter on screen. But this is all I'm going to do. I'm going to go on one of them pins. One's always the start. So that's 3K pull up, 3K pull up, 3K pull up. So all of them are fine. The other one is more difficult, so I'll basically tell you if there's a problem. If I can even get me probes in. Yep, all of them are fine. So it can't be anything here at all. So all this is ruled out. And the problem we have here anyway, as I mentioned, is it's got luma and color and sound. So this is going to be probably the video chip or a combined processor that does everything. It's not likely to be that, but either way, that's a bespoke chip. The 6529B is the most likely thing. And then after that, it could also be the U2. And it could also be anything else connected to the rails. So you go over here, follow this. It's basically everything on the data rail, which goes to another page. So it could be realistically any chip, but the most obvious one. And this is the problem with the retro consoles. This is why they're a bit more complicated than the modern ones. The modern ones are much easier to diagnose. The older ones shared data buses. So it pretty much means the way they pulse the data, you connect all the data rails together across almost the entire system. And then you take turns. You have a bus master where one takes control of the rails. So it means that when we're reading in the keyboard on the data pins through this chip, that even though it's faulty, it could be the sound chip, it could be the CPU, it could be absolutely anything on the rail. It could be a single pin that tells it which one is in control of the bus. So something that would on a modern console just always be a guaranteed place to look. On this, it could genuinely be absolutely any chip, but like I say, my money's on this one. So I think safe bet is we just quickly swap him off my board for now. And then maybe look at search if we can actually buy them. 6529B, because then the cost to the customer is only the cost of the replacement part. Whereas if it's got to come off my console, then it has to be quite a bit more, because I've then got a useless console that's only good for donor parts if somebody else ever sends another part in. So it's, you know, there's a lot of difference in value. Right, so let's get this one off. Yeah, it could be. For how quick I can swap this, I'm just going to swap this first. It all depends on what if you're fast enough at taking chips off, then literally I'm probably quicker at swapping this chip than I am pulling the other ones out the socket, as silly as it sounds. So I'm just going to go for the chip swap. Another 10 seconds and this will be ready for a clean lift out. And then I'm pretty sure we can fit a socket in here. Knowing my luck, we'll socket it and it'll hit the keyboard. So maybe we'll dry run a socket before committing to that idea. A bit too tight to get under there. I'll do this instead. I don't know whether they bent the pins on the other side of this. It feels like, I think they'd slightly bent them pins. So let's get in with the iron flux. Yeah, I don't really desolder chips from the back, because you're putting more heat into. All that happens when you desolder from the back is you start to warm up the pads. The pads are connected to the chip, so the chip starts sucking the heat from the legs, and then what you're doing is warming the PCB up more than it needs to be. Whereas if you warm from the top, you're warming the package up, so the heat has nowhere else to go, and then you warm the legs up. So effectively, the package needs to be a certain temperature anyway. Otherwise, it just keeps sucking the heat out the board. But it's you can do it many ways. Oh yeah, I need to buy another one of these pumps because I keep forgetting. This pump is a used one. And you can see there's absolutely no damage to the circuit board or pads as well. Yeah, this poor... might even have to resort to my fake engineer one. I keep calling it engineer. Yeah, it is engineer, isn't it? Oh wow. No, I think the dying engineer one is still better than the brand new fake. This feels terrible. So you can see when you're not doing constant soldering, this nano one's actually lasting not too bad, but you can see it's already at like 67%. It really is for sort of on and off work, I'd say, where you're just doing small amounts of soldering versus like consistent. You really can't do a lot of soldering. It's more, I suppose, if you're diagnosing a lot like we are and then jumping in to do a quick solder. So let's now check if a socket works and if I even have a socket for that. Have we got all them parts for the PlayStations then, or are we still waiting on one? Like is the 3 and we've got everything for them, or?
We need dongles and stuff, wireless dongles.
Yeah, I'm just mainly thinking that guy that was chasing the 64 gig, was he, to something like that? Cool. That's way too long. Why did I think it was that big? There we go. So, keyboard now. The question will be, would it hit the keyboard? I want to put the socket in, but I've got a feeling we should really test it first, that it's going to fit or not. Because the amount of times I do this where we just presume it'll fit, and what I can do is rest the socket in. I could put this chip back in the socket if it goes in. Put it nice and high perfectly. If it fits in when it's high, it's going to fit in, you know, if that's hitting that. So let's put it in properly then. Of course, they've bent all the legs on this chip, so they're not in any way straight. Which way did this come out as well? Moss facing up. Look at the other board. Yeah, that way. So the only problem with the turn pin sockets is getting used chips lined up. It takes a bit of time to line them up. So let's know if it was in the socket. Is it going to fit in? Not even close. No, so you can't socket the chip, so it's just going to have to be a straight swap. That's why those ones aren't socketed. Which is a shame, but not the end of the world. So customers is there. We'll have to take ours out then. I'm just going to leave mine in the board. I'm not even going to take mine out the plastic. Nice and quick. So you can see that one doesn't have the legs as bent as the customers, so it came out easier. See this cheap one just drops its load as it's going over. Just all the solder comes backwards out the pump. If you want a decent desolder pump, just get the genuine engineer from Japan, not these cheap ones. They're just not very good. Let's go back to my genuine engineer. That's, even though it's clogged up, it's better than this. Oh, yeah. That's cleared. Not that I'm even putting the chip back in mine for now, but it's that off. That's the chip we want. So that's the one from ours, which we know works fully, I believe, because we just had issues with ours, which was just some of our keys were not very good. I think that's the only issue we had in our, like my one, effectively. So we know this chip is definitely good. Did anybody search it on eBay, see if you could buy one of these chips, or AliExpress? The MOS 6529B, or was it purely related to, well, even if it was just for this machine, there might be some floating around we can still buy if it turns out to be this. Right then, this is the donor ones. This is what we want to put it in. Should probably put this extractor on as well. I never seem to be using this at the minute. There we go. That's it. So now, moment of truth. I think if it's not this, then we'd start approaching the point at which this is just going to be more cost in diagnostics than replacing. So we probably would want to play it smart if this isn't the answer to this one. Because as I mentioned, this isn't the customer's own one. We've got that working. And we're just going to end up eating into the cost of a new machine anyway. At that point, if it's not sentimental, there's no point spending more fixing one than it costs to buy one, unless that's something the customer wanted to do anyway. But fingers crossed, this will be, if I can find the cable, this will be fixed now. But that's only half the battle, even if it is fixed, because then we've got to let me guess, the Elgato's failed again. Of course it has. Just going to say incompatible format. Yes, failed again. Back on me hands and knees. Right then, does that work? Interesting, no signal now, but is this silly converter not working? Yeah, just the converter. Conversion kit, what for? Did I miss a message? Oh, there you go, QWERTY. Yep, so that was it. Now this is fully working as well. Let's check sound. What were we? Vol 8. Oh, a conversion kit for this chip. Is that what you're thinking? Sound 1, 500. Oh, that wasn't 500. Did I press the wrong button? Yes, I did. 500, 50. There we go. Working. Yeah, right. So, how far do we take it? Like I say, because this is now a part of my my machine. Salmi Retro. Let's see. What was the chip? 6529B. You can get them for 20 quid. So, it's just a 4 SPI keyboard buffer chip. So yeah, we can source them, so they're not a major issue. But that'll be £20 for that. Is there anywhere cheaper? Run Retro Restore. Yeah, so we can get them all for around £20. These parts. And yeah, there's that equivalent thing. The equivalent's cheaper than a new one. So. That page would load, but either way, yeah, we know. Yeah, they're just using a 74654 with some extra buffer. Like, yeah, okay, so we've got options. That's 20 quid more for that bit, and now the problem is going to be we need to try and get his keyboard working now. So that's the customer's fully working. This socket can go back. And now this is the original keyboard from the customer's own one. So this is the one we need to, well, we now know the problem is the keyboard. There's no other problem left now. So this keyboard is just whatever problems are left, it's the keyboard. So that's just poor contact. So is that. Now we're never getting contact on most keys. I mean, the fact we're getting none of these keys, I don't think we're really going to get in it by just spraying. But I just want to see if we can get a single key press even happening. There we go, 5, 4, 3. So we might be in luck that this is just a really dirty keyboard, because we've managed, just with a bit of IPA, to get most of these keys responding at least once. Yeah, so I think we're just dealing with a dirty keyboard. So this might be both of them up and running. So let's now get this keyboard stripped down then. Where's my screwdriver? There. Turn that light off, minutes right in my face. There we go. So I don't think we need the schematic anymore. We're done with that. And let's get underneath to clean it properly. Yeah, I think the IPA's, it's a bit of a half job. I think just strip it down and do what we just did on the other one. Just rubber the PCB and use paper on the key contacts, and I reckon this will be fully working. Well, I say fully working, like I say, we can't check the cassette and things because I don't have them, but the customer can check all that. Dishwasher's not a bad idea. Tempted, actually. I mean, it won't do much for the rubber contacts, but to clean the keys, but it's not that dirty, to be honest. I think it's not going to benefit that much. Did anybody ever figure out what the PP was as well on the keyboard? So it's got tape over. We'll put some. I'll put some foam on instead of this. Let's get this over here so you can see on the vertical. We've got this kind of tape on here. I don't know. I doubt that's factory. I don't know, but I'll swap that for something better when we redo it. So we desolder this. Just the shift lock button. He says. The main thing is that why do they have this LED that doesn't lift out with the board? Just seems weird that the simplest solution for this is, like, obviously sniffing that LED and resoldering it, because you'd think the disassembly was easier than that, unless it's just because maybe it gets wedged in over time. There we go. So now this should lift out. Oh, there's why. This has had water damage at some point, because there's, like you can see right there, load of. Where are we? On there. Yeah, so it's had water enter here and rust this, and got a bit of gunk there. But the rubbers in general don't seem that bad. yeah, and then we've got this mess here, which is not IPA. This is something that's spilt into the board. Rotted that trace there, rotted that trace there. So a lot of the problem could be we've actually got trace damage on here. So let me just make sure I don't lose any of these rubbers because they stick into there. We've actually got a damaged circuit board. Yeah, and there's more damage here. So this has had water inside the keys, or yeah, coke probably. But this is no major issue. Right, so that's got to be remade, obviously, down to a clean trace there. Let's inspect this now. We know there's been liquid damage. Just shout out if you spot anything, because I might not spot it. We're looking for dark green patches or corrosion like you just saw. Oh, I've left the rubber on there. That was good spotting. That's nasty there. So that's corrosion right around the edge. So what I'll probably do on that is I'll just put a fresh blob of solder that bridges that gap, because we don't care about the rot around the outside edge here because it's going nowhere. But this trace, if it breaks here, then you've got no connection. So I'll just flood that with, in fact, I'll do that now before I forget. We'll just make some fresh solder blob on that. So that'll bridge any potential break anyway. So I guess that's now formed a fresh join over the top. There we go. Other pad to totally missing trace needs investigating. Yeah, this one you're about, or the other one we haven't come to yet. This needs a bridge wire, so we're going to have to go as close to this edge as we can get so we don't interfere with this pad. So we want a quick tack of enamel wire just to touch on the edge and then go to there. Oh, that bit there. Yeah, looks a bit dicey. And also there, see that little bit of dark green there? These are the things you have to look out for. So yep, that's fine now. We'll do a quick continuity check. Should do a continuity from here to here for fun. Yeah, definitely did. So this one from here to here and here, that's now fine. This is a little bit dark. The reason you want to take these off as well, just because they're there and it's obviously not gone through. You don't want to leave that kind of corrosion in there because it can eat away more over time. There's also this we've not spotted. We'll do the same for this one. Fresh blob of solder, it's close enough. And that'll prevent any requirement for wires where we don't need them. So that's now clean connection. This is clean, we don't even need to measure that. We can see we just wanted to take the corrosion away. This one, shall we just get this out of the way, because if I end up forgetting about this, it won't be repaired. So we need microscope. So this is where we need to do an enamel wire. And we're going to try and not spread the... Oh, my eyes are... Yeah, my eyes definitely are changing focus. Because your camera's in focus, I can't see a thing. Adjust my eyepieces a minute. There we go. We want to not spread solder onto here if we can help it, because this is where that rubber pad is going to touch, and if we end up with a ball of solder here, that rubber pad's going to make that connection pretty crap. So we're going to attach the wire to this bit first. Like so. And then we want to pre-strip the end of the wire, and we want to tack it on to the pad last. We want to be as quick as possible when we tack it on. So let's just strip the wire by just putting solder on the iron, stripping back. And now for the fun part, get plenty of flux on. We don't want much solder on at all on the iron so it can't spread. And then the idea is, I need some solder on the iron, I've got none. We just want the smallest amount of solder just to tack this on. And it wants to be on the very edge. So I've got a little bit on the wire there, and I'm going to try and spread that to the edge. There we go, so nice and, oh no, it needs a bit more. You can see it's nice and flat, but it was a bit too flat. I'll tell you what, this small iron's perfect for that. There we go. Rock solid connection and absolutely no spread. So that's the way you repair that. Otherwise, if we were to just go ahead and blob solder on like normal, where are we? On that, then it'd make the button pretty much non-responsive in a sense, because the rubber pad would be getting in the way. That's a nice connection. Could you flatten the wire? You could, you don't really need to. That's out the way of the rubber and it's pretty flat as it is, but yeah, you could technically tap it flat. You could even use the little trace repair strips, like copper strips, but I'm pretty sure that's going to be fine as is. I don't think that's going to interfere now. This desk is getting right messy. Let me clean some stuff up. You only have to not put stuff away for a few goes and then your desk is covered. I've already got screws from 3 consoles everywhere. It's a bit cleaner now. Yes, let's carry on. This one was fine. And we're looking for them dark green patches again. Mainly around like circles and edges. That's a weird shape. Never seen a PCB. It's how you can tell the kind of hand drawn back in the day. You'd never do this kind of strange angle, and then just a completely custom bend on that trace. Yeah, that's okay. It explains the random behavior anyway that we were getting with the when we first looked at it, and we're getting completely random button presses and certain ones doing certain other things. It wasn't tying in with a single matrix break. The actual keyboard had random breaks. That was what was causing it to be so strange. I know we had some damage over here the first time we opened it up and looked. But where is it? I haven't seen it yet. Unless it was upside down and we've just fixed the corrosion, that other one. Oh, there, that's the other one we need to fix. So we'll go back to him in a sec. Let me finish the scan up. In fact, we might as well finish the scan. This is the end of the board. Yeah, so looks like then this is the last bit of damage here. We'll focus and zoom in a bit. Oh, we're fully zoomed in. I was going to say zoom in a bit. All right, so let's get rid of that corrosion. Oh, there's nothing even there. It's already... Oh, there is. I thought there was nothing there then. That's actually fine, believe it or not. The worst looking one, and there's no damage there. That was definitely Coke, though. That was definitely a spilt drink. But the traces, to me, look fully intact. Ow, stabbed myself again. So let's double check. Yes, they're actually good. We don't care about the traces going in here because this is drilled through, so it's going nowhere. So that's it. That's fully trace repaired. So I don't know that actually explains the damage though, because what did we repair? It doesn't really explain the damage as such, because we've got one button that wouldn't work. And jumpers go, maybe the jumper would explain it. The jumper going over here would explain it. So that crack, if that was cracked, that would explain the behavior. But that's all we fixed. This one would be a resistor going to a light. So that would just stop the LED working, so that's not an issue. That would stop one button working, so that's not a major issue. So if this was cracked, it's the only other explanation for the problems we had, short of it just being a dirty board. So now we'll obviously clear all the pins up with a pencil eraser. Oh yeah, I'm sure that that Amiga from yesterday, was it? I'm sure that's had some form of liquid damage in. The customer's going ahead with that, but that's just pretty much swapping parts out. New keyboard, new power supply. There's not really much there to show off, so I'll probably just get that one built up off stream anyway. But he is going ahead with all that repaired. So that's at least another one saved from going into landfill. Probably last another 30 years now. Alright, that's the clean. Now for IPA. So the pencil eraser rubs off any heavy inset dirt, if you will. And then the IPA is a degreaser and general cleaner. So it gets it nice and squeaky clean. That's that. And then that's as shiny now as a board's going to get. You wouldn't think that was, what's this, 40 years old, do you reckon? Would not think that's 40 years old. Brown goo on the metal plate. Yeah, we haven't got to that yet. So that's the next step. So we want to clean the rubbers first. So these 4 rubbers for the function buttons, and then the other 4 for the arrows we can take out and clean on the paper. So for this, just basically get the pad, push down, drag. And then what you're doing is you're just taking off a small layer. See how that's nice and dry now? If I get another one, say. So it's not too bad, but see that little bit of shiny contamination there? Once you flip it over and drag a few times and turn it back over, see how it's now perfectly matte and smooth? So that's what you're doing. You wouldn't think to make a difference, it really does. You've seen on the last one how it made a difference. So see the shiny, almost like fingerprints. Got that kind of shiny dirt, if you will, that little bit of grease. We fold it over, zoom up maybe, right to there. So that little bit of just texture almost on the surface, a little bit of grease there. Right, if I then just rub it down on the pad, bring it back up. See how it's gone? And it's just like a matte finish. We could probably rub a bit more off because the edges are still a little bit shiny, but you don't want to rub too much because you don't want to take too much of the rubber away. So that's like nice and clean. And that's all we do on all of these. So just grab them all and drag to clean. And that's all we're doing on the other buttons, which is going to be a pain. For all the other buttons that are inset, that's it. So that's one pad. They can go back in after. And now this is a slow bit. So because these are all inside, you kind of want to press the button with a finger and rub the pad, so it's a bit more like involved, and it does work. You kind of can't see on that lens. So see how it's pulling the slight dirt off the rubbers. So that's what we're doing, and that's what we've got to do on all these. So it's not too bad actually. Just hold the keys up and rub over them, and you're just getting the pad's getting full pretty quick. Oh, there's that spring I didn't take out. Surprised I haven't lost that. And that is them done. So now it's just cosmetics really, this rust. Yeah, it worked quite well. Just I don't know what made me think of doing that, but it definitely works. The only thing you can really do with this is grind it, which So, does the trick. It's clean enough. Now the question is, how do we get into, where have we gone? How do we get into the corners is the question. That's dirtier than you think. No, we don't need smaller tip. You just need grind away a little bit of the plastic. Without grinding the plastic. No, we're way past that now. Way too late. I think we're pretty clean there. So I guess the other thing is now, yeah, I've actually got the dentist tomorrow, funnily enough. Yeah, there's like little bits in there. Oh, that's not a nice sound. Maybe we won't do that. Back to the grinder. There we go. I think that's pretty clean. It's better than it was, isn't it? I wish I gold plated. Oh, I know what we're... As soon as you start cleaning, this is a problem. I can now see little specks there. There we go. So I think that's as good as we can service. Oh yeah, Rusty. Now I can't draw Rusty. Let's get a picture of Rusty up. Can we grind a Rusty face? We need a really simple line drawing. See if we can get a nice simple one. Complicated face. Oh, that's a cool one. Shall we go way off tangent and try and draw that with an engraver? I've got a laser. I've got a laser right there. We could laser engrave him. You know this room's got everything. You know we could laser engrave it with a laser packer if we wanted to. There we go. Got all the safety gear. We've got the laser there. Shall we laser engrave Rusty on it? I am tempted. No, we haven't. This is the customer's console, not ours. I would be tempted though. Maybe I'll laser engrave mine. Right, let's see if this actually works out. I kind of want to draw a pug now though, but they're all way too complicated. Need a really simple looking. There you go, this would be my drawing. That's my kind of drawing. I could do that. That's maybe doable. Although it doesn't necessarily look like a pug. That one's, yeah, that's doable. The customer won't mind a pug face. I'm kind of tempted. Let's see. What if we do that with that? And then let's go for it. Let's see what we can do. That. There we go. Where have we ended up? Right by the rusty patch. So what do we have? We've got, oh wow, this is a lot smaller than I thought. Got a little ear here. Then probably should have dried this area first. Maybe little quavers. Face, eyebrows. Eyebrows a bit high. We'll fix that. Button nose. Tongue. You have to put some dots in there. Now then, this is the best bit, the big eyes. Rusty's got more round eyes. He's gonna have nice big ones. Kind of. Maybe just round the bottom of there. That's better. Actually, he needs a collar. A little collar on. Now, I kind of want to put Rusty in there. Could we write Rusty in there? Make it bigger. I reckon we can fit Rusty in that bit. Ironically, rust, where we've got rid of the rust. Let's engrave that. Right, grindy time. See me Rusty drawing I'm about to engrave in a customer's console for no reason. Not impressed. Right then, let's see if I can do this. Actually, people that engrave use microscopes. Let's use the microscope. Let's do this properly. We've come this far. Then let's hide off the thing now. We don't need that. There we go. This is I don't really use a smaller grinder because this thing's massive, but with the same tip. Let's do this. Swap the tip out. Oh, I've got to swap the entire collet inside for the larger one. 1 second. Customers chasing while we haven't done consoles because we're busy. I'm engraving pugs. Yeah, gonna have to nick the collet out of this one. I bet it's not getting fitted. Is it? Oh, I can't put it in there. Okay, I'm gonna have to use the giant grinder still for this job. Wow, what have I done to me grind? I can't even get the thing back together now. That's upside down. Genuinely don't know what I've done to me grinder. I will fix that other one in a minute. Let's just get back to my one. Now, this is going to be the tricky bit then, because I've got to use a giant grinder for this. Let's go. Lights in the way. You have no idea how big this grinder is. It's hard to keep it still. I've got the lights that are hitting everything. No, it's same as the iron. We don't go thinner. We use the fattest tip and the fat. Have you seen the size of the thing I'm using? It's absolutely massive. Trying to hold this still like this, just the slightest movement. It's got to have a bigger tongue. And we put a little, I don't know, put a line down his tongue. We'll leave the line till last. Yeah, Zach's not impressed at all. I got nothing back from him. IPA time. Let's see what we got. I don't know whether fill the tongue in. I think we're going to fill the tongue in. Oh, some of it's ground the black in. That's not too bad. I think grind the tongue in, maybe. Yeah, that's better. Let's see what it looks like on the other camera. There you go. Got me rusty now. I don't know whether to paint him in now. Do we fill him back in with black and rub over so the grooves are black, or leave him ground? Looks scary. We could do... I kind of want to smear it with black and then wipe off so the grooves keep the black. Let's try that. What do you reckon? It's kind of nice when it's just... Nah, I don't know actually. I think it just being like that's quite nice, just a reflection. There we go. Yeah, natural. That's an Easter egg for you. And there's me. See me at the side as well. Got Rusty and me. Bet you can't see with the eyes, can you? I've screenshot that Rusty there. Looks quite cool. Grab that, move my hand. There we go. Paste that in Discord for no reason. There we go. Right, what were we even doing? Were we just building this back up? I think we were, weren't we? Yeah. That's what we meant to be doing. Right, so we have this ready to build up. And I've broke my Fantech grinder. I can't figure out how to get him back together now. Actually, I think that just slides over. There we go. I was going to try use the smaller one, but the collet's the wrong size, so I've had to use that giant thing to do it all. That's warm as well now. That's pretty cool. It's like the size of my finger. It's not too bad. It's much more difficult grinding than you think. Right, so close that, close that. Stick to repair, someone's put in TikTok. The only comment we've had for like an hour in TikTok. Am I a qualified repair? I don't know if that's a serious question or... no, I've got no qualifications whatsoever. All self-taught, including the drawing. Right, so let's get these screws back in here, because either way this board doesn't need to come out. Right then. Why have I got different size screws? These are the inner ones either way. Yeah, so we'll put engraving service on the sendings now. You know, custom engravings. Why do I feel like we're missing something? It's got to put the PCB on this. Oh yeah, sorry, the laser packer. Yeah, it's not very good at all. The one I got, it's one of the first ones they ever released years ago. So the new ones are probably better, but it's that underpowered. You can have it if you want. I'm not going to use it. I tried it for something, and it's just real. Other than for like engraving on maybe wood or coasters or something, it's very, very weak and takes ages. But it's good if you want to mess around with it. Brand new. I think I used it like twice. But their newer ones, the newer ones will probably be a lot more powerful. This is literally one of their first ones. Put this away. Triton plastic. No, the only thing I can remember doing is trying it once on. We were going to do like maybe coasters or key rings or something. And I think it was a leather key ring, and it just wasn't very strong. But considering I've actually got, well, I did have the other laser that's way more powerful. We just ended up using that, but it was more just so you could use it. Like when we had the stores, the physical stores, so you could do it while customers waited, sort of thing. But that specific version wasn't powerful enough. And say goodbye to Rusty's little engraving. He's going to be covered up until the next time somebody goes in this. That's it. He's gone. Let's screw this together. Is that the Xbox with that hard drive, or?
Yeah, I don't know whether they're things in that.
Dashboard failed to load. 14. That's nothing to do with it. Problem dashboard. That's as if I haven't copied the dashboard over. Have you tried it a few times, or just the once?
Well, like turning it on and off.
Yeah. And have you got BIOS on, I presume?
Yes.
Is it Aladdin or? Yeah, just Aladdin chip in it. Yeah, that's spinning up. It could just be maybe just a corrupt hard drive, corrupt dashboard files. Might be worth just trying the original 40-pin ribbon as well. You know, like the completely stock one. Just see if that works. Spring back in, yeah, I snuck that back in. Retro 12, yeah, somebody will open it up. There'll be enough little hidden Easter eggs for Rusty in there. One, two, three, four. Wow, there's loads of screws left. That's all. I've got one screw left, but I've got a feeling that screws out of mine, not this one. Oh no, it does out of this one. It's right there. I'm the opposite. I've got loads of +4s and no games. Right, so does this now work? You watch, after all that it won't work anyway. Oh, hang on now. We've got to solder the power light back on. And the switch. I'm going to use wire for that, to be honest. Easier than trying to bend that back into position. A wire you cut there. Yeah, that's what I'm just repairing now, the power LED. But save bending it right the way back into position. I'm just going to quickly tack a wire between it, just give it that bit of flex. Oh yeah, I got the, I don't know, I'm holding it like as I go. Got the Nano here. I've got another 500 coming as well, because the Nano, it kind of works for me because I don't solder much, but the other day I soldered the Amiga. We're recapping the Amiga, and it was going down fairly fast, so I think for regular soldering you really want the 500, and I think if you're doing soldering on and off, or like, you know, it's lasted for us, but you can see how it's like already low. Well, not low, but you know, it's noticeably going down on the battery by just doing this work. Then it's a question of how long the Nano will last. It's easier in the hand, it's like way smaller, it's like literally like a pencil, but it won't last for doing consistent soldering, you know, like pretty much like a heavy soldering job. If you want to do, say, a recap, it's not going to last for a recap. So it's not, you couldn't use just that, you know, you couldn't replace your entire iron with just that. It's like an optional one if you want to, especially if you want getting like fine gaps, or maybe you just want to take it outside and solder something quick, like, you know, a backup iron, I'd class that as almost. Or again, depends on how much work you're doing, because that's all I've used so far on this stream, and it's lasted for me, but we've not really been soldering much. So it's kind of, it's based on use case. It's just the 500 is, I never, well, you've seen me use it on stream since we got it, and it never even gets down to 80%. It's like permanent, whereas this one's now, that's effectively a quarter of the battery gone, soldering the LED and button on, basically. So that's, it'll charge back up fairly quickly, but it doesn't last in bursts much at all. So it's for infrequent short use, I'd say, really. Oh yeah, it'd be perfect for, like I say, I think the outdoor use, or just doing the odd connection, because what you can do is it comes with this tip as well, like this cover, so you can just put that on, and now it'll turn itself off. So now chuck that in your tool. It's actually a good idea. Chuck that in your toolbox. Oh, I need quickly solder something. Take that off. You've got an iron, turns on, heats up, do your job, put it back away. It's like perfect for that, really. Like literally fits in your pocket. So I suppose if you think of it differently, I wouldn't use it as a bench iron. I'd use that exactly for that reason, as like almost a travel iron. So outdoor work, you've got a solder joint due somewhere in the middle of your living room for LED lights or something, just grab that, walk out, solder, and you're done. And then put it on charge afterwards. That's pretty much the use case I'd use it for. Right, power this thing up now. Where is the cable? You watch this. I know exactly what's going to happen. This Elgato is going to tell me I've got to climb under the desk again, isn't it? Yeah, I'd say I considered the 100 after this, but I think the 100's close enough to the 500 in size, while being thinner in one way, that it's probably not worth it. Okay, better. Yes, there we go. That's as good as it gets anyway. That's... Yep, so we've got... I said, to be honest, that's probably about as responsive as the other keyboard is. Let's try the control. Was it control? How do we test control? Q and control, was it? Control and Q, that's it. Yes, this is working. So that's it. It's just been a heavy cleanup. Sound one. Let's try 1,000. Always do that. 1,000. I don't know. 200. Go, yeah, vol. Of course, forget the vol. Vol 9. Can we do vol 11? Or was vol 8 the highest? Vol 8. That's a weird. It's a weird volume level. 8 is the highest. My dad having Amiga cats. I didn't know Amiga cats. to Google that. Sound. Let's try 3,200. It's like a crash. That's literally like that's a Windows 95 crash. Right, so that's it then. We've got them all working. They've actually got to be all cleaned up inside and out, basically. Screwed back together, all that good stuff, but that's the boring stuff. So, thanks for the follow. That's a success, and we got both working. And one was a bad chip. Well, we've had a few things, haven't we? One, the donor console needed the 6529, and its keyboard was okay, bar a cleaning of 2 pads. The customer's motherboard had perfectly fine motherboard, but this was the keyboard that needed heavy cleaning and all the trace rot. So yeah, we've had like an issue. Everything's had an issue except the donor motherboard. That's the only thing that wasn't bad. But yeah, all up and running. So I think that's it. Been streaming long enough. I'm gonna get some drink, carry on, wrap all this stuff up, and then we'll probably be doing. I've got 2 more Amiga 500s, and I've got 2 more Neo Geos to come up. So we'll probably be on some of them in the next. CDTV, yeah, Amiga CD32. And CD, yeah, I've actually never seen the CDTV. The only way I know of the CDTV is the BIOS. That's the only way I even knew it was a thing. Right, so that's that away. Yeah, so I'll wrap all this up after. Nice, yeah, the CD30. I think we worked on one recently, didn't we? Might even have one in. Yeah, I might have one in somewhere. We did the recap on it, didn't we? Right, and that's it anyway. I'll catch you guys. What day are we on? Probably not tomorrow. Got the dentist tomorrow and work. More work as normal. Probably Friday or the weekend as usual, I reckon. Oh yeah, I wanted to actually one very quick test. I thought this was cool. This is just a non-official random tip, but look at the size of that. So this is the tip. We could engrave in plastic with this. We can draw a rusty in plastic with this. The only thing is this going to well, what you tend to find with these sort of non-official tips in a sense. I don't even know if this is the right size for this iron. No, it isn't. I don't think. No, let me get the B500. Let me nick Zach's a minute. Is these usually burn out straight away. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we basically turn this on and it just burns up. But let's see. Let's also pull up if this works. Can I connect to Iron? I think it's called. See if my software is going to work for me. There we go. So this is now Iron hibernating. It better be because I'm about to plug a tip in. Tool not detected. Thing is, how am I going to plug this tip in? Am I like I push it in and then let go really quick? There we go. Oh yeah. Seems to be working. What do we do with this? I don't know. I've got no use for it. I just thought it was cool. What can I even solder with? Oh yeah, this is getting hot to the tip. It's probably going to be, yeah, like 400. It's probably just going to burn up without doing anything. I know. Can it engrave the Subways box? That's its challenge. Yeah, this thing's gone from copper color to it's ready to melt itself color. Oh, look at that. We can cut styrofoam. Eee. We've had a good stream today. We've drawn rusty. We've burnt holes in things. What else do we do? Dry spud. Oh yeah. It can poke potato. That's what we've learned. Can it do anything useful? What have we even got? Oh, now I smell jacket potato. Let's try, I don't know, soldering on. I like genuinely have no idea what the use of this is. I'm not one for using small tips. I don't find them useful for much. Maybe, I don't know, maybe if you wanted to, and why would you, I guess? Maybe you just wanted to solder one of them pins. So can it solder that? Nah, it's useless. Can't even melt that. Can it melt that? Nah, it's useless. You can't even melt solder. It can melt plastic, that's it. We can touch plastic, and we know there's heat there, but it can't even melt. There we go. After 3 minutes on the connection, it melted one pad. This is, I don't know, maybe people working on mobile phones that have, they're working on like 0201 components. Yeah, that's absolutely useless. Styrofoam poker. This is all this is good for. Melt that. You know what? You could probably use it as I'm destroying my clean amp duo for no reason. I wonder if we use it for cutting holes in HDMI. There's a use for it, maybe. I think cutting holes in HDMI ports accurately. I think that's the use. Maybe it is for melting plastic. I don't know. I'll keep it. Oh, there's a point. You watch, I'll go for clean this tip. Is it going to destroy just cleaning it? Or is it going to survive? Yeah, it survived. Okay. Yeah, maybe we'll keep it. I don't know. Don't know what I think. Like literally melting plastic or cutting holes, maybe. Strange one. I can't get it out. It's too long to get out. Not the way you're meant to remove stuff, but there we go. That's how you get it out. Yeah, that's it. Anyway, that was me playing with stuff. Let me go back in. So I am off now. I'll catch you guys probably Friday or the weekend. Oh, actually, I know I keep saying this over and over. Let's end TikTok and Facebook. I think we can do a thing on YouTube to raid other people. We tried it yesterday, and I don't know. I think it works, but I don't know how it worked if it did. I think you go to. We can do it on both, can't we? Twitch and YouTube. Let's try YouTube first. And we go to Creator Studio. This is the weirdest way of doing it. You go to Stream Settings, Edit, I think. Scroll to the bottom, was it? Somewhere. Oh, where's it gone? Somebody customization, redirects. Here we go. And where do we go? What do we redirect to? Yeah, cool. Thanks everybody for joining. I'm going to try and bump everybody from YouTube to somebody else's stream, but I genuinely don't know what. Resident Evil, anyone streaming that? Yep, have a good evening. Retro. Nobody's ever streaming anything, are they? 3D Hangouts. No. I don't have any friends online either. I don't have any friends. That's the problem. Upcoming. Nobody's even streaming. Am I the only person streaming anywhere? I literally can't find anyone streaming. It's kind of a shame. Yeah, that's mad. No one to even push you guys over to, I don't think. Seems a shame when there's an option to redirect. I want to see it working as well, but Nope, there's like a random guy in the Philippines repairing tyres. That's the only thing for repair anywhere online. Repair Labs. Okay, let me try that. Repair Labs Xbox Series Live port. Let's do that. Save. Now, I don't know how this works, so I think if I end the stream on YouTube now, that's meant to redirect you guys over. So your stream will be stopped and yeah, so you guys should now bump over to Repair Labs, and then we'll sort Twitch out.